Hello and welcome to Oblivion. Let's roleplay. This is going to be the prologue for the character that I'm going to be playing. This won't be featured on YouTube as YouTube's videos are so short, 10 minutes or even 30 minutes if I could work up to that. So it's going to be mostly through Twitch. So there will be links for that. But I did from popular request, was asked to do a YouTube, or at least a recording of the prologue for the character. I had my voters on Twitch kind of decide on what race we would play. And they decided on Argonian. This is the alternative start, so we are starting on a ship. You'll find out where we're headed here shortly when we go through the story. But this is Talvek-Ra. Talvek-Ra, he's Argonian, from the Black Marsh. Why is he here? Why is he on this boat? Well, let's kind of go over how he got here, who he is. Talvek-Ra grew up in the Argonian village of Thorn, in the northeast corner of the Black Marsh. Thorn consisted of farmers, fishermen, craftsmen, and hunters. Though Talvek was none of these, he grew up in a more modern home, his father being a well-off Argonian merchant, selling and trading local Argonian wares, which is pretty uncommon for an Argonian, and he was really the only one that did. Most Argonians won't trade outside of their respective villages. But he never felt comfortable in this lifestyle, Talvek. Instead, he ran free in the marsh and surrounding wilderness, to which Talvek-Ra, Talvek's father, never approved. Talvek became quite adored by the local huntsmen and fishermen. Some even shared their trade skill knowledge with him. He absorbed himself with everything and anything that had to do with the natural surroundings. In the marsh he felt at peace. It was his sanctuary. On his naming day, Talvek gained his Black Marsh name, Dokavashin, or in the imperial tongue, he who walks with trees, or just simply walks with trees. Talvek lived up to his name in his developing years, learning everything he could about the fauna and fauna of the marsh. He became a proficient hunter, able to stalk his prey silently. He even dabbled in alchemy that used the local fauna. Talvek learned some limited fighting, defending Thorn against bandits, pirates, and dark elf slavers. He became sort of a local hero. As Talvek grew older, he became more aware of his father's business ethics. Talvek-Ra was an ambitious man. Greed alone seemed to drive the Argonian. It seemed fitting that he was given the name Seeks Gold on his name day. Talvek witnessed the day-to-day exploitation of the local Argonian craftsmen. Talvek-Ra was not an elder or a person of station in Thorn, but his wealth alone gave him power and influence. Talvek began to despise his father, but never confronted him. Instead, he distanced himself even more, spending many nights in the marsh. One evening, traveling through the marsh, Talvek witnessed something quite strange. He followed a group of shadowy figures he had been tracking for about an hour. He recognized the tracks as Argonian, except one, which intrigued him. After watching them for what seemed like hours, Talvek finally decided to approach the group as they made camp. The Argonians looked up nervously as Talvek walked into the camp, but soon relaxed as they saw he was Argonian. The hooded figure did not stir, and simply said, "I wondered when you were going to join us." He stood and removed his hood, and Talvek looked upon the dark skin of a Dunmer. He said his name was Relorus, and that he had freed these Argonians from the slavery of House Dress in Morrowind. Talvek offered to assist them on the rest of their journey. Relorus welcomed the help. Talvek and Relorus became fast friends and freed many slaves still in Morrowind over the next few years. One night, Talvek happened upon a document in his father's office, a document that seemed to link his father to the sale of slaves to Morrowind. Talvek's first instinct was to go to the elders of Thorn, or even Relorus, but soon changed his mind. He knew full well how powerful his father was, as well as his new Dark Elf associates. Instead, he volunteered to help his father in his business, which shocked Talvek-Ra, but also pleased him, as this is what his father always wanted for him. But Talvek's intentions were that of espionage and sabotage. He wanted to tear his father's empire down from the inside. And he did just that. He disrupted many of his father's illicit activities by misplacing or replacing documents, letters, or even destroying shipments. Soon his father's involvement in slavery diminished. By his own actions or events in Morrowind, Talvek was unsure. But due to Relis's infrequency of late, especially over the past few months, he suspected the latter. In the year 432, the third area, it was quieter for Talvek. Relis seemed to have vanished, so his slave-freeing days had all but come to an end. He continued to monitor his father's doing from inside, which mostly consisted of exploitation of the local craftsmen. Talvek did meet a friend in the merchant sailor Captain John Avern, an honorable Redguard man of middle to late years. He shared many a tale of the outside world, outside Black Marsh with Talvek over some Argonian liquor and ales. Talvek looked forward to Captain Avern's monthly visit to Thorn. While the rest of his days were not spent pleasing his father, he spent alone in the marsh, his sanctuary. One night, Talvek awoke suddenly in his room in his father's estate with a strange sense of panic. He thought he could hear a voice calling to him. Not really a voice, more like a beckoning. This was a sensation he had felt before, but nothing quite like this. There were times when Talvek was in the marsh that he had felt the roots and the trees actually call to him. The Hist, it was called. Argonians were believed to be descendants of the sentient tree-like creatures called the Hist. There had been many occasions that Talvek felt the Hist had called to him and helped him make that distinct move to catch his quarry or dodge an arrow. There had even been one time a Naga bandit was upon him, and he thought surely he had met his end, when suddenly the bandit seemed to be tangled in the roots below, making him easy prey for Talvek's blade. But none of that was quite like this. This was very distinct and different. And so Talvek traveled towards the source of what he felt called to him. He came to a place sacred to the Argonians of Thorn, a large copse of ancient trees larger than any others. The trees and roots seemed to reach into him, to call him, and he understood their meaning, but not how or why. Time would have passed silently to any outside observer, but Talvek heard the words, yet not words, but more of an understanding in his mind. Later Talvek stood aware of his surroundings, yet in disbelief that the Hist had called to him. He had heard of it before, but only in tales and legends, and only with sacred Argonian shaman making such contact. But yet Talvek knew they had spoke to him, and the message was grave. A great evil was coming, and it was going to pour into the world from another. He was to take a ship to Anvil. It was his destiny to do so. So said the Hist. Fortunately, Captain John Avery was due for his monthly visit in just 2 days' time. Apparently it's raining outside. So this mod will take us to Anvil. We decided to go to Anvil, and so the story tells us so. Like I said before, this will be live on Twitch. Links will be below. Mod list will be... I may update this page with the mod list, but the mod list right now is up on Twitch. Times that I will be streaming will also be up on the Twitch link. I hope you enjoy the journey, and thanks for watching.